Welcome to Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories. I'm your host, Allison Preisinger-Heggins. Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories is a podcast exploring society, culture, and current events through conversation. We aspire to create an open, respectful, and equitable space where guests may feel free to share their truth and lived experiences. Our core values are rooted in community, connection, and personal development. Stories help us learn, relate, and grow. We are here to listen, to take notice. Thank you for being with us. I would like to acknowledge the land on which this episode was created. I would like to show gratitude to the traditional ancestral land of the Coast Salish people, including the Duwamish people, past and present. Land acknowledgement statements are an important part of honoring those whose land we now live and work on. We begin each episode this way to help spark ideas and keep these conversations in the front of our minds so that we may continue to be open to doing better. I encourage listeners to research the land on which you live and are listening right now. Recognizing this is just the beginning. Some additional next steps to consider would be to seek out the stories of Native people from our shared history and today. Spend time asking yourself difficult questions and challenging norms that may be linked to colonialism. Engage in your community around topics like land tax, curriculum, hiring practices, decision-making, organizing, and reparations. Seek out media created by Native people. The more you explore, challenge, and learn, the more questions may arise, but this is how we grow and connect. Thank you for joining us for Take Notice, Amplifying Black Stories. Since we celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. last week, I wanted to share some brief thoughts before we get into today's conversation. In my sphere of awareness, so we're all kind of in our bubbles of what we see in social media and who we're talking to and allowing into our lives and different things. But in my sphere, folks seem to be increasingly aware of the harm that can come from reciting a few lines of a speech or a book or some famous quote from someone like Dr. King and moving on without doing anything further, like researching the context from that quote or line, researching the times that it was written, the man, or the bigger picture. As an example, I follow Dr. King's daughter on Instagram, Bernice King, and she posted a challenge on Martin Luther King Day to read his letter from a Birmingham jail in its entirety, then post something that you learned after reading. So admittedly, I don't believe I had ever read the letter fully. If I have, I forgot. So I reread it or read it for the first time. I can't remember. And really got a lot out of it. It took some time. It's a long letter. And a few things that I took from it were there are so many famous quotes that I recognized in there that I didn't realize was from that letter specifically. You see quotes on posters or on memes now, or that people just, share either in context or out of context. And most of the time you don't really think much of it. You just kind of go, oh yeah, that makes sense. But what does it make sense to? What's the context? What was the original thought behind it? And so that stood out to me as an important thing to really at least consider. It's not like you have to go look up a book every time you see a quote, but to consider, okay, what you get from it may not be what the original thought was behind it, kind of like a piece of art. I also gained some grounding in deciphering just and unjust laws from his writing in this letter from a Birmingham jail. That's something that has kind of, in the back of my mind, been a thing of like, how do you approach whether something's just or unjust? What says yay or nay, and how do you go from there? And that may seem like an obvious question, I guess, but in reading his words on that subject, it really kind of cleared things for me and helped me be a little more grounded in it. So another thought about Dr. Martin Luther King Day that popped up was a lot of posts about recognizing and celebrating the people that surrounded Dr. King during his life and in his work. His wife, Coretta Scott King, his children, and people who worked alongside him. So maybe spend some time researching documentaries, books, or other works from these people and from Dr. King to spend just some more time gaining a deeper understanding of what they were fighting for then, how it compares to where we are now, and how we can contribute in meaningful ways to keep moving that work forward. So, welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Seattle musician and creator J.R. Rhodes. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, you may want to listen and then come back to this episode after that. In this episode's conversation, we discussed JR's creative process and her main influences. And JR was kind enough to share the piece that she had discussed, I believe it was in part 1 of our conversation, that she collaborated with Lori Goldston on, Black is the Color. So it's a single that she's releasing with Lori, and it'll be at the very end of this episode, so be sure to stick around to listen to that. Let us know what you think of splitting up this conversation. Did it throw you off, or did you like it? Let us know what you think, and we may continue to do it here and there. We may avoid it depending on how people feel about it. So JR calls Seattle home, and I want to thank her again for inviting me to her place for this interview. I appreciate having the opportunity to connect with JR and hope you enjoy the second half of our conversation.
And I'm like, right now I'm looking at a bunch of projects coming up. So I'm focused on 2 new recordings. I really wanted to follow my dreams, like literally. And real aside, like there's this people called the Ashwar, and they literally follow their dreams. Like people, they're revered and they're in partnership with the government. So their land is protected. They're really, in my heart and mind, in my view, like beautiful lights, beacons of stewardship on, how we can be in partnership with our planet. Right. And so they lead these tours into their land to show people, to help encourage people around stewardship. Right. And so people like flying from all over the world. You can't get there by road. You gotta canoe in. I think it's somewhere in South. I gotta look it up, but look up Pachamama.org.
Okay.
Pachamama, Pachama.org. Pachamama.org.
Okay.
And this woman, Lynn Twist, collaborate with them to help them preserve their legacy and help them move their vision forward. And that's the organization they created together. And so like, I bring it up because it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, that's how I live my life. Like I wake up and I have a dream and I write it down, and that's what I follow. And that's what they do. Like, you literally, like, their way is you wake up with your dream and you sit with an elder and you process your dream with that elder. And then that's how you go about your day. You literally follow your dream.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I was like, haha, so like I learned about that. I was like, that's how I live my life. It's like, I wake up, I have ideas, and it's like, oh, okay. So like, I typically, you asked me about like what I'm doing in terms of like work right now, like new creations. It's like, I am embarking, I laugh because it still tickles me. It's like, because I woke up, I was like, oh, 2 albums. It's like, that's funny. It's like, because usually it's like years between an album. And I'm like, wait, what? 2 albums? It's like, oh, okay. And I just like wake up and I don't even question it. I just write it down. And it's just like, and then I'll wake up a couple days later. It's just like, oh yeah. And one of those is a cinematic folk album. And I'm like, well, what is that? And it's like beautiful because it's like, I'm literally following my dreams. It's like, and each day, like I get pieces of this magical riddle. And it's like, so I'm step by step, day by day, moment by moment, like living into this project. And it's really wonderful. And people are showing up and like, oh yeah, it's like, how about this? And it's like, oh, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Because it's like, how fun would it be if it's just like, oh, cinematic folk album, and it's just like, and all the answers are just landed in your lap. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, instead, it's just like this beautiful, like magical mystery ride.
Yeah.
And people show up, and I'm like, what? I haven't talked to you in years. You know, it's like, or like, wow, I've thought of you, and it's just like, here you are, and so I'm really excited about them, and you know, I'm giving myself a year out. And I'm planning the different stages. And the music's pretty much already here for the cinematic folk album. The second album is around spiritual slave songs and lullaby. So that's going to take some research. And I also around that going to be delving more into my ancestry, so doing a lot of my genealogy work is going to be included in there. So like, like slave songs, for example. So it's like, okay, so where exactly are my people from? Right. Mm-hmm. And then studying those rhythms and bringing those into and like following the trail from Africa to, so I'm really excited about this work and how it, and also like considering that I want to make it available to everybody. Like it's not just my story. So it's like how to open it up so it's more accessible to everybody. Right. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. it's not about me. I want it to show my story and also show people that they can hopefully see themselves in this story and find their own way, Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. That one, that's going to be some serious homework. I'm excited because I have a list of people that I'm looking at reaching out to who I've admired for some time and who are excited to, so I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Both of the album projects sound really interesting. But being able to create an album through, like, combine it with you searching into your genealogy and all that too sounds, that'll be really interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking forward to that too. Awesome. And so that's the album that's in front of you. Have you started any pieces of that other than, or it's just kind of
which one?
The second one you were talking about.
Oh, more genealogical one. Yeah. Step by step, I have folders started. Yeah. And I've been reaching out to people, and so there are a couple people on board, and there are other people that I'm looking to reach out to. So they're like right now, both projects are in.
Right, they're both kind of in front of you, I suppose.
The sketch stages. I would say that the cinematic folk album is more. That's going to come out first. The music's pretty much there. Right. It's about like arrangements, finalizing the music, the core blocks of the music, right? Mm-hmm. And then reaching out to who's involved, right? Like producer, arranger, because there's going to be for that one, it's like woodwinds and strings. It's going to be pretty involved, right? Choir and stuff. So it's like, but the thing about that one, the music's there. The other one, it's so I guess my point is the other one, it's like the approach is there. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. The other one, the music's there. The approach that's interesting. My sense is like when the music's there, then you're good to go because then you have your roadmap. I figure they'll be released within months of each other, kind of a sense of things. Mm-hmm. I'm not really into the hustle. You know what I mean? Like I have friends who are like, and I bless their hearts. I mean, they're like, you got to do this, you got to do that, to like make it with music. And I'm like, I'm not into the hustle. Right. The only hustle I'm into is the dance. It's like, that's the only hustle I'm into.
I love it.
Dance it off. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like freaking out. It's like Nikki Giovanni's like chasing $1 can make you crazy. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, it's like I'm focused on the music. And whenever I focus on the music, everything comes into place. Yep. It's inspiration first, always. Mm-hmm. If you chase $1, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Absolutely. That idea has really sunk in for me in the last couple of years because I've been trying to balance it as a musician too, and but looking all outside the majority of the time, trying to figure out what am I supposed to do instead of looking in and being like, oh well, whatever I'm supposed to do is already happening and there. Right, yeah. But I just need to focus on what that is for me, and like just not even worry about all the rest of it because you're right. Like the inspiration is key and it really shifts everything. So everything that's supposed to, I believe anyway, everything that's supposed to happen with whatever it is that you're creating will come from focusing on whatever it's meant to say or achieve or whatever, in its own words. So I think that's it's not always easy to focus on and do that. I think for some people, for me, I'll just talk for me, but it's something that I'm striving for sure. So I can understand that. Yeah. The hustle is kind of, exhausting, and doesn't seem necessary. So.
And that's what I actually, as much as I wouldn't wish COVID on anyone, any of us, especially with all the loss around it, right?
Right.
I do notice and appreciate a sense of a sacred pause, at least in my life, that I'm really grateful for.
Yeah.
Like, just looking around and taking a deep breath and like, oh my God, it's like, I do not miss going out to clubs. It's like, I never really was into clubs, It's like, okay, if something's really going on that moves me, sure. But, in terms of having this sense of I need to go out there so that like my face is fresh in people's minds, it's like, that's not really my deal. It's like, if I'm going out, I want to go out. And I want to go out because I want to connect with people that mean something to me.
Right.
And connect with an experience that is meaningful for me. And so, yeah, I've been really appreciating just the sacred pause, I call it. Just like look around. It's like, oh, I didn't really need to do all that. And it's like, I actually am fine being at home, killing my 4th sourdough starter and trying on my 5th, it's like, or, baking cookies and writing letters. I really love writing letters.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've been really getting into that.
Nice.
And just slowing down and appreciating the moment. Eating well. And I don't have to be online all the time. I'm focused on what I want as opposed to what I'm supposed to need.
Yeah.
And that's just fine with me.
Yeah. It's an interesting path to sorting through that, separating out like, what is it that I really want? What is it that I've been told I want or I need or something, and like really dialing in on narrowing down what it is that you want to focus on and letting go of the rest. I think that has been a thing for a lot of people in this time. Like this time of kind of forced pause and reflection.
I love it. I love the quiet. And it's like, it's a trip when you go to other people's houses and you get to see how they live. Like I was at like my cousins on visit, Aunt Juanita, and it's just like, they have TVs in every room. Oh, yeah. It's interesting. It's really interesting. And it's like I come home and it's just like it's interesting to notice that like I spend a lot of time in quiet. Like I have a lot of records. I have a lot of tapes. I have a lot of CDs, whatever. It's like I have a lot of stuff to listen to. Mostly like when I listen, I'm intentional when I'm listening. But other than that, it's like this. Like you came in here, it's quiet. Like I listen to the birds. Yeah. So it's like really interesting to I don't know how I got on that tangent, but like how people choose to live their lives. It's and like their day to day and what.
Or the sense of feeling like you need to be distracted by something or like have something on to not focus on what's going on inside.
I do that too with movies. I have them on repeat.
Same, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a trip to I'm totally caught up on pop culture.
Yeah. From your trip. Yeah. With all the TVs.
And then my girlfriend before, she's 82 years old, Sumaya. Yeah. I'm totally caught up. And they all have really big TVs too. I'm like, what?
I know.
It's they're huge. I'm like, you can see people just
Yeah. Well,
they're sweating.
When I invite folks over to our house, my husband games and stuff, so we have a large TV.
Oh, see, you know. Yeah.
Every time I'm like, there's this massive thing, and then he kind of starts to. I think I mention it too much because I think he doesn't. I think he starts to feel bad, but I get it. He wants a big screen for the the games
detail.
or movies. Like he's a big movie person,
yeah.
and I do enjoy watching the movie on and stuff. But it takes up the whole room.
It's a trip, and it's a thing. And I'm like, whoa, it's a thing, you know. Yeah. And it's not a judgment. I'm just like, wow, totally. I've gone to 2 different deals where I'm hanging out with people. I'm like, it's a thing, you know?
I know. Well, and when you don't have it in your everyday life,
if they came here, they would yawn. They would yawn so hard. If they came here, it's just like, where's the TV? You know, wait, you know, because they have them in, like my cousins, for example, they have them in every room. I'm like, what? It's like, oh, you know, there's one in your room. I'm like, what? I mean, they had to show me how to turn it on. I'm like, I don't know how to do this, man. They're like looking at me like I'm some space alien. I'm like, okay, help a sister out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, just different. And I think being okay with silence too, my introverted thing, beautiful. You know, too. So you mentioned being introverted. I am too. So like I think that's something that's more comfortable for different folks than others as well. So,
yeah. Which is a trip.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I have a girlfriend. She's like, you know, total extrovert, love her to death.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, hey, you know, she's like come to me a couple times like, hey, so like, let's go somewhere. Let's fly somewhere. I'll treat, you know, let's find some people who are COVID friendly. And by that, she means like friends who just like, we can crash there. Not worried about, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, so, you know, I'm actually self-quarantining. I'm just chilling right now. I'm just sussing things out, you know, but like, it's just really cute, you know, but it's just like I love her to pieces. And it's like, and I know she loves me. That's why she reached out to me. It's just like, it's just interesting, like the introvert, extrovert things. Like, she's got to be out there. I mean, she just got back a couple months ago from Greece. Like, she's out there, right? She's like, no joke. Like, she's going to be out there. And I'm like, I'm going to figure out this sourdough thing and just see how it all works out, you know?
Yeah.
You know? We're like, so we're all doing our thing. Mm-hmm. We check in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Well, so we've talked about a few people in your family and that you've interacted with the music world and things like that. But is there someone or something, I suppose, also that's been a big influence in your life?
There are lots of them. There's so many.
You can mention a couple.
Like my little sister, Susan, my first best friend, because she never met a stranger. Like she just always... She's very joyful, even in her own private suffering, right? Mm-hmm. You know, the fact that she'd be going out shopping, she's really glamorous and like, she'd be out shopping trips and like, where's Susan? You know, and she's like hanging out with a homeless person on the bench and like having a serious conversation, like serious, like ICU conversation, not like looking down at you like you poor, you know, like how it's tempting for people to approach that interaction. Mm-hmm. She just met people where they were with full heartedness and just like, what's your deal? What's going on with you? Let's talk heart to heart, you know? And that's where we'd find Susan. And so it's like, you know, hey, we're, you know, maybe maybe they're shopping for like a prom dress. It's like, or some event, whatever. It's like, hey, we got to go, you know, we're on schedule. And she's like, hey, okay, well, one minute. And she's like, I remember that. She's like, can we take a picture? And she would take a picture with the person.
Yeah.
She's real. She's just really real. Like, we're all real, but like, she just really, her heart. And then my mom, like, she really took an interest in everyone. Like, when I was packing out her last apartment, like I was finding notepad after notepad of like notes around people, like people that she'd meet. Just little things about them to remind her.
Oh, yeah.
Little things. I was just like, and I'm pretty sure I have them still because it was just beautiful. She really took an interest in people, and I imagine that's why people really loved her. And my grandmother, Pinky May, my dad's stepmom, who owned the store, just her go get itness. She just went for it, you know, like in her 70s, like that guy trying to like hold at the store, and she like, even though there's a gun in the cigar box under the register. She ran around. She didn't go for it. This guy's holding her up. She ran around the counter and chased him down the street and out the store and down the street.
Wow, really?
Yeah. People are calling me and it's just like, hey, so I think I saw your grandmother on the news. And I'm like, what? No. And then another person's like, hey, I thought same thing. It's like, no. And then another person's just like, Pinky May, do you think there's another Pinky May in Seattle, Washington? I'm like, wow. Okay. So I call her and I'm like, hey, Grandma, what's going on? And she's like, oh, I didn't want to bother you. I didn't want to worry you. But she chased that guy out. It's a black guy. So of course she's pissed because she's given so much to the community with her family businesses and stuff. And it's just like this black guy is going to hold up a black store that's given back. She didn't go for the cigar box. He's holding her up. She didn't go for the cigar box. She ran with a gun in it. She could have pulled that gun out. The training when I worked at the store, it's Rhodes Grocery, 1123 MLK Way. It's now Martin Luther King Way. It was Empire Way. Now it's Martin Luther King Way.
Oh, okay.
The training was, hey, Jennifer, if anything comes up, there's a gun in the cigar box. That was the training. Wow. It's a really big gun. I'm like, middle school. That's not, that's right. So like, that's the gun that she didn't go for. She's being held up in her 70s. She's working alone. She ran. She was so pissed off and raged. She ran around the counter, chased him out of the store and down the block. She was on all 3 news channels.
Wow. When was this?
I don't remember the date. Wow, I got to look it up. I'm kind of coming out of a coma with all this stuff.
You might be able to search Pinky May in Seattle.
Yeah.
Or the Rhodes Grocery.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I need to look that up too, see if there's a deal. So those 3. And I would say, Mr. Rogers, like Fred Rogers, is a huge influence on me. Have you seen his, like, when he went to Congress to save PBS?
I think I have, yeah. I think I watched it with my family a couple years ago, probably before that too, but yeah.
It's like compassion. It's like, look for the helpers. It's like when all this, the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all this stuff's going on, people were like looking at me, so it's like wanting me to get angry. Like they're actually kind of prodding me on, like asking me these questions, these kind of like prompting questions to get me angry or something. I don't know. And I'm like, I'm not responsible for other people's journeys, is what I've come to. And I'm still sorting out where I am in all of this. But that's one thing I'm clear on. It's like we all need to inform ourselves. And also to look for the helpers. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. When I was falling apart, when my hair was falling out, grief over my sister, my skin was falling off, and I thought I wanted to die, and then decided I didn't want to die. I looked for the helpers, and people started coming around. When I decided to live, people just started showing up. A doctor, a friend treated me for free. Just people showing up. Mentors, like I have a mentor who's just like has a life practice, and she's like, oh, let's do this thing. Where do you want to go with your music? And so all of a sudden I have this person walking alongside me and other mentors. And it's just like people showing up. If you look for the helpers, they're there. I mean, I remember I was like I was really freaked out about money. Like, what am I really doing this music thing? It was really kind of a tricky moment for me. And like, it was at Fremont Solstice a couple of years ago. And I'm looking at this, I'm at this place and they have these leather wristbands that I love. And I'm like looking and I'm thinking like, I don't have the money to pay for this. Why am I even looking at these things, and then this woman from nowhere, this little white woman, maybe like 5'3", about the size of my mom. And she's got this scarf around her and she's got these really stunning sunglasses, and she's got this movie star smile, like in her 60s or something. And she's like, hi. She's like, what if I offered to like buy you anything you want at this stand? It's like, would you let me do that for you? And she's like, because giving is a gift. And it was just a moment because it's like, I was just like, so at that moment, I was so entangled in the concept of struggle and lack. And here she shows up, and she's now a mentor of mine. We're really good friends, and just like, and so I just agreed, and she goes, "Thank you. That's a really beautiful gift you just gave me." So she bought me 2 cuffs. There they are right there.
Oh, that's great. I was looking at those a little bit as I was talking to you. Too.
Yeah. She bought me those 2 cuffs. And then she went on to talk about, and I also remember, this has really been a key thing that I follow these days, is the concept that like there's more than one form of genius, and that like culture may attempt to dictate that there's just one, and that's of the mind. And this mentor, she's pretty private, otherwise I'd mention her name, but like, she's like, there are many forms of genius. And she's like, when I look at you, I think of compassion. You know, and she's like, there's genius of compassion, there's genius of the heart, there's genius of, you know, and she just kept listing off different forms of genius. And I'm like, you know, just tearing up. I was just like, you know, because it's like, we all deserve to be seen. It's our birthright. And so her saying that is just another way to say and see that. And it's my purpose to, through music, to let people know that I see you. It's very important to me. And I think, I'm very dedicated to that. It's paying it forward for the people who've shown me that, you know.
That's a beautiful purpose for your music. Yeah.
And that's what I think it was. It's like, you know, that message written across my heart for all of my life. It's like, inspire people to choose their lives. That's what it is. It's like, I see you is another way to say it. I see you. It doesn't have to be my way. I don't have to agree with the way you choose. It's like, I see you. Do it. You can do it. I'm doing it. I'm dreaming. You can dream too. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no better than or less than. It's all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Comparison can get in the way. Or competition or comparison is just a distraction, it seems.
There are lots of distractions.
Oh, yeah. So many. Yeah.
Or we can choose. We can always choose. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your influences. That's really beautiful.
Thank you. It's nice to remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just reminds me I need to do my acknowledgement cards.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
A bunch of work going on this week. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I was just thinking there's another guest that I had this season who Mr. Rogers was also a big influence for them. So
he's amazing.
He's come up a few times.
He's amazing. Oh my God. You want to know my favorite Mr. Rogers story?
Yeah. Okay.
So like his car got stolen.
Oh, okay.
And you know, he's the kind of guy who's lived in the same house forever, right?
Right.
And so like it's all over the local news, like, oh my God, somebody stole Mr. Rogers' car. Right. And like soon after the news broadcast, it's just like it was returned in front of his house, his car. And there was a note under the windshield wiper. It said like, sorry, Mr. Rogers, we didn't know it was your car. That's what it's like to be beloved.
That's amazing.
He's totally beloved because he broadcasts love to the world.
Yeah.
And that's my purpose too.
That's wonderful.
It's important.
I hadn't heard that. That's amazing.
I was like, we're sorry, man. We're sorry.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
Fred Rogers. Yeah, it's for real.
Yeah. Is there anything that you were hoping to mention or bring up that we didn't get to before we close up?
Yeah, people can follow me on my new website. I have a new website.
Yes, I've seen it. Yeah.
Worked really hard on it. It's like kind of like, this is your life. No joke. I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard. This is so fun and it's so great. It's like, we had a great time. Kim Brotherton through Newmanocity Design.
Okay.
We worked together.
Awesome.
side by side at this table with our laptops.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So the website is jrrhodesco.com. So JRRHOD as in David ESCO.com.
Nice. Perfect.
I've been forgetting the CO part, so I have to close my eyes and really focus because it's still new, you know.
Oh, okay.
It's really new.
Very fresh. Okay. That's
And
great.
I'm a dork, so it's great.
Not at all. I don't think. And I know you're on both Facebook and Instagram. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, LinkedIn and all that. Yeah.
Okay. So folks can find you on those things. Oh,
and we have all the
okay.
links on the website. The website is the hub of love.
Yeah, and then you can get to everything from there. Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, we'll definitely include that in our show notes for this episode too, so folks can find you from there.
Yeah, congratulations! This is your second year, right?
Yeah, second season of the podcast.
Season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, second year too, because we started last October. So yeah, It's been a whole year already.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for being a part of this. Yeah. Appreciate it a lot.
I look forward to hearing more of your music. I remember loving your music. I was like, who is that? What? That caramel voice? What?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of be able to focus on that as well, which is very nice. In a kind of new way, similar, not the same, but similar to what you're mentioning, being able to just focus and dream it up and just kind of allow it to happen, I think. So, which is a little newer, slightly new, not completely new, but like before I think it was more like exercises and trying to do certain things with it and make it be a thing. Right. Instead of just allowing it to be what it is. And so far, it's going okay.
Yay! That's wonderful.
So yeah. I look forward to hearing all the things that you come out with in the next whenever that happens in the next year or however long it takes for those new albums and all the stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've got some stuff coming on in between.
Great. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being a part of this, JR. I really appreciate it.
Definitely pleasure and honor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again to J.R. Rhodes for joining us for Take Notice, and thank you, J.R., for sharing this song for us to enjoy. Everyone, please enjoy J.R. Rhodes and Lori Goldston with Black is the Color.
My true love's hair, his face, a wondrous fair, the purest eyes and the warmest hands. I love the ground on where he stands. Is the color of my true love's hair, of my true love's hair. Oh, I love the ground on where he goes. And still I pray our day will come when he and I will be as one, when he and I will be as one. Black is the color of my true love's hair, of my true love's hair.
Thank you for joining us for Take Notice Amplifying Black Stories. Please subscribe and follow us on social media. We are at Take Notice Podcast. It would really help us out if you could take a couple of minutes to review our podcast. You can do so through your podcast app or by visiting our website. It's takenoticepodcast.org. Thank you for your support. Take Notice Amplifying Black Stories is produced, hosted, and edited by Allison Preisinger-Heggins with help from many. Music by Version Big 5 featuring Darius Heggins. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for taking notice.